Arisu learns early on that Usagi is in a coma, stuck between life and death, just like Ryuji, and finally explains the truth. Borderland exists in that tiny window of time between when your heart stops and when you actually die. It's only 2 minutes in real life, but inside it stretches out into this whole world of games. Win and you get another shot at life, lose and you're gone forever. Usagi chose to be there because she couldn't handle the grief of losing her dad. She wanted to see him again, even if it was just a desperate attempt to hold on to him in some way. Arisu can't accept losing her too, so he takes a heart-stopping shot to drop himself back into Borderland, determined to save her no matter what. The finale picks up in episode 6 with Arisu, Usagi, Ryuji, Rei, Nobu, and the others playing a game called Possible Futures. The team gambles their points every time they move from room to room. Arisu steps into leader mode, laying out strategies and trying to keep everyone alive. Usagi's got the most points since she's protecting a child, so she ends up taking a lot of the heavy hits. Along the way, Arisu finds out Tetsu's dead, and it rattles him. But Usagi pushes him to focus on survival, reminding him every game has a clue. That sparks him to remember the wristbands. He comes up with this risky plan to use the child's wristband without the child actually wearing it. If it works, it could buy them the points they need, and with some insane timing, Usagi pulls it off. When they finally reach the last room, it looks like they're free until the computer announces the final twist. A dice roll determines how many players escape. Arisu rolls a 7, which means one has to stay behind. He decides it'll be him. He tells Usagi she has to live, even begs Ryuji to protect her, and sacrifices himself so the rest can return. Usagi's devastated, sobbing uncontrollably, but Arisu won't budge. That's when things take a dark turn. Ryuji remembers the deal he made with Banda. Banda had told him that if he killed Usagi, he'd get his wish granted. Banda promised him a glimpse of the afterlife, this land of the dead beyond imagination. If Ryuji could bring Arisu back and kill Usagi to trap him there, Banda would finally give him that glimpse of the world beyond death. So in the middle of Usagi breaking down, Ryuji actually points a gun at her. Arisu freaks, begging him to stop. It's pure chaos, but in the end, Ryuji can't do it. He never pulls the trigger. And right then, the computer congratulates Arisu, saying he earned his own future by entrusting everyone else with theirs. He cleared the game. Arisu barely has time to process it when the whole world starts shaking apart. A massive earthquake tears through the place. On the other side of the screen, Arisu watches helplessly as his friends brace for death, and he can't do anything to save them. That's when Banda shows up. He congratulates Arisu, saying he played brilliantly, and because of that he now has the right to become a citizen of the Borderland. Arisu is furious. He wants no part of this. Banda mocks him, reminding him that Usagi is going to die soon anyway, so why not just stay and play more games together? Arisu realizes Banda lured him back here just for entertainment, using Usagi as bait, and he explodes with anger. He tries to attack him, but the two are still separated by that barrier. Arisu manages to break through by hitting a mechanism, opening a gate that lets him out, but by then the earthquake has triggered a giant tsunami, and Usagi is swept into the water. Without thinking, Arisu dives in after her. Banda corners him again with a gun, demanding he choose Borderland or death. Arisu refuses, and just when it looks like Banda's going to shoot, the man in the hat appears and takes Banda out himself. The man in the hat tells Arisu that Banda wasn't ready for the role after all. He sits Arisu down for one last game. He pulls out cards, explaining that Arisu's fate will depend on the draw, but the twist is both cards are jokers. Arisu calls him out for cheating, and that's when the man in the hat launches into this long explanation about what the joker actually represents. He says every deck adds up to 364 days of the year, but the jokers make it 365 or 366, accounting for leap years. The joker is this filler card that represents gaps in time, in life, and in death. It's not really a person or a god, it's just the in-between. The man in the hat offers Arisu a choice: step into the vortex and die peacefully, or return to the pain and struggle of the living world. He warns him that if he goes back, Usagi and the baby he wants might not even be there. Death is easier, life is hard, but it's Arisu's call. Arisu pushes back, saying death means no happiness either, and calls the man in the hat out for being afraid of death himself. The man in the hat admits maybe he's right and calls himself the watchman, stuck at the gates of death, never moving on. He even warns Arisu that a huge catastrophe is coming in the real world, one that will flood Borderland with even more people. He gives Arisu a choice, die peacefully or go back to the pain of living. Arisu chooses life with Usagi no matter how painful, and at that exact moment he hears Usagi screaming. He jumps back into the water to save her. Ryuji appears one last time trying to drag Usagi with him to the land of death, but he finally lets go. He sees Arisu's love for her and remembers the promise he made earlier to bring her back to their world. So instead of dragging her with him, he lets her go, tells her to keep living, and throws himself into the vortex alone. Usagi gets her closure when she has a vision of her dad, who tells her he was happy with her in life and wants her to live her own. That gives her the strength to let him go. Arisu and Usagi make it out of the chaos, choosing life and each other. Back in the real world, Arisu wakes up after only 2 minutes flatlined. Anne is there with him. He rushes to the hospital and finds Usagi awake. The relief that washes over him is huge. Then they see Ryuji being wheeled out. He didn't survive. Life slowly finds a new rhythm. Arisu and Usagi settle down, talking baby names now that she is pregnant. He suggests Natsumi using kanji for summer and beauty. Nobu reconnects with his mom, Rei celebrates landing an anime movie project, and Ken and Yuna grow closer. Sachiko shares a bittersweet moment with her son. While Arisu takes on a new role as a counselor, he asks his patients what gives them a reason to live, and the twist is that all his patients are familiar faces, supporting characters from the earlier seasons, like Kuina, Aguni, Akane, Niragi, and Chishiya. They're survivors still trying to find meaning. But peace doesn't last. Earthquakes start hitting all over the world, Japan, California, Europe. Scientists are baffled, calling it rare tectonic activity and hinting it could be the start of something massive. The camera cuts to an American diner, a waitress turns, and her name tag says Alice. It's a huge tease that the Borderland story might not just belong to Arisu anymore. Someone else, maybe across the ocean, could be the next to fall in. And that's how Season 3 ends. Hope for Arisu and Usagi, mystery for the future, and a massive warning that the Borderland is far from done.